Hello Saxo fans, episode 27? 6? I don't know, I forgot. Anyway, I'll figure that out later. But I want to take you back briefly to episode 1 for all those loyal followers who watched from the very beginning. Now you'll know that when I bought my Mark II 2002 VTS, I was actually looking for a Mark 1. And obviously they are like ultra rare, hardly any of them on the road, they're all rotted or been crashed or whatever. But obviously it is possible to convert a Mark II to a Mark 1. Now I did think about this, and obviously I'm not going down the route of like originality or, you know, making sure that obviously my car is perfect Mark II spec or anything like that. So I thought I couldn't get a Mark 1 because they weren't around, albeit as soon as I bought mine there seemed to be about 10 for sale, which is a shame. But you can convert them, as I said. So this was about obviously a year ago now that I knew this, but plans were put into place, and as a result I have now got Mark 1 front end. So that consists of obviously bonnet, grille, headlights and indicators, and wings. These are a set of base model wings, so I need to drill the holes in for the arches. The bumper is the same, so yeah, that'll all carry over. So basically obviously it needs paint, but the whole car needs paint, to be honest, so that's no drama. But yeah, basically Mark 1 front end, job's a good one. So I'd it's probably upset the purists, all you Mark 1 lot go, oh no, sacrilege. But there you go, I'm not after originality. I wouldn't have done all the things I'd done if I was after originality. So anyway, there we go. That's one of the big changes for now. Anyway, meanwhile, we're going to talk about some wiring. I know that's not particularly exciting, but you're all invested, so let's get on with it. Okay, the exciting world of wiring. Now, I'm assuming most of you will probably find this section of the build a bit boring. And it's something I've not been looking forward to myself. I'm not a big fan of wiring, but I do want to tidy it up because the car is obviously in a bit of a sorry state. It's obviously had 10 owners and has been, you know, hacked and changed a number of times through the years. So yeah, I'm going to start with this lot. So this essentially should go in this little fuse box, and this is for all the big master fuses, the big 40s and 80s. And this little box sat up on the suspension turret up here. I had to cut the brackets off for this to get the strengthening plates in. So I'm going to remount this somewhere, probably over here, and I'll make a little bracket up in a minute. And there's already a couple of threaded holes there, so that should be quite easy to do. So it's going to live there somewhere. So this wiring should route behind the servo, the master cylinder. So yeah, I'm going to essentially extend this because yeah, it's just, and also I'm going to clean it as well because it's just pretty nasty. It's all sticky. So I've already pulled off this sort of convoluted stuff, and in my mind, obviously this is original, you know, there's nothing wrong with it, but it just gathers dirt, you know, the way it's built. It's, you know, it's not ideal. So what I've done is yeah, strip that back from up here. It's obviously been taped a load at some point, so I'll strip all the tape off, and then I've got a load of new Tessa tape to put on. I'll show you that in a second. Yeah, and then obviously I'm going to clean up all the connectors, put some contact cleaner in all of these, so they're all essentially fresh, ready to go. So this one here is for the wiper motor, so that routes up through this little hole up here and then goes along the scuttle. That's nice and easy, hence the bung. This is obviously the master fuse, that's for the brake fluid reservoir, and then this is obviously the distribution of power essentially. So yeah, obviously you can see it's been hacked at some point. So yeah, the plan is essentially just to tidy this up and make it look you know, halfway decent. So first thing I need to do is work out where I'm going to put this, and then get these wires cut, cleaned off, and then yeah, extend them essentially somewhere around the back again, avoid the chassis strengthening, and then up into the box somehow. So this is probably going to be quite boring to watch, so I will time lapse it really quickly. So let's get on with it. Right, that's the first little bit done. Thought I'd do the nice easy one first, the one that goes up to the brake reservoir. So I did a few things there. So essentially stripped off all the old stuff. I've given it a good clean with some rag and brake and clutch cleaner. This is good because obviously it evaporates on its own. Just using that on a rag is great to get all the sticky horrible mess from the harness. Use the same stuff with a toothbrush just to get the actual connector clean, so that looks pretty good now. And then finally I use this WD-40 contact cleaner just to get in there and spray the actual contacts. And then finally I use what they call Tessa tape. Now this is obviously proper wiring loom tape. Now it's freely available, you can get it on eBay or Amazon, whatever. I think I bought mine on eBay, it was slightly cheaper on eBay. This is 51026 Tessa tape. Now you need to be careful because there's obviously quite a few different types, and I think the popular one is the really nice furry one. Looks quite nice, but that's for interiors. Obviously this one is waterproof, heatproof and all that kind of stuff, and essentially I've done like a sort of 45-degree wrap on there right up to as far as I can get to, as close to the bung. So that's basically ready now. I'll feed that behind the servo and plug it in up onto the cylinder, the fluid reservoir there. So that's good. I'll do the same for the wiper motor. Again, this feels so much nicer now. It's had a good clean. It's got rid of all that horrible sticky stuff you get from, you know, black tape. Oh, it's nasty. And these ones here, so these obviously do need extending. So I'm going to have to cut these. Just need to check the wiring gauge and make sure I've got the right gauge to replace it with. And then obviously feed that over into the fuse box over there. So yeah, I'm going to carry on wrapping this one next, get that fed up, and then check out these and extend these. So that's what you need. Right, before I start lengthening these and adding in too much length that I don't need, I want to get the fuse box mounted. So as I said, I'm going to stick it down here somewhere. Now obviously there was a bracket up here, and I did keep the bracket for when this moment came. Essentially this is part of it, and it would have sort of been as part of a bigger piece that has the bonnet stay and all sorts. So yeah, I kept this intentionally because I knew that this would fit back in here a treat, and I could weld something on there or reuse it. But luckily, if I just put a nice M7 or an M8 hole through there, then that'll bolt to either one of those 2 points down there, and it'll sit quite nicely with access for the cables to come out the bottom, which is quite a neat little solution really. It's worked out quite well. So what I'm going to do is put the hole in this bracket, if I can get it off again, and then yeah, I'll give it a quick blast, plate it up, get it looking nice, and then yeah, we can bolt that in and then obviously run the right cable lengths. Right, little bracket on. This is ready to go on, but I can't put this in as it is. It's disgustingly dirty, so over to the parts washer. Okay, so that's all those wires now in here. I've popped the fuses back in. I've got to replace this one because the top's missing and it pushes out the actual pins. So I'll get a new 40 amp one, but the other ones are all in. That's nice and tidy, ready to go. Obviously the cover will go on it. I do need to put in the power feed. I think this sort of went somewhere in there on the inside. And then this other bit went to the fuse box, which is here, which I have in my hand. So this one here is pretty nasty, but obviously it'll clean up okay. This will bolt onto the arch here. Now there is one hole that lines up here okay. Just move you a bit. But the other hole, which is that one, there's no hole. You thought it might be that one, but it's not. That one doesn't line up. So I am going to use that hole. And what I'm going to do is just open these up a little bit, and then I'm going to riv nut them in rather than having a nut and bolt. I think that'll be a slightly tidier solution. So I need to drill a hole on the back of here, which I've marked already, which is this one. Yeah, open that up, and then yeah, I'll pop some riv nuts in. So we'll get this in place, and then I'll give this a good clean up. And of course in here is the original little fuse block, and then in here I think on one of these fixings there, I think is where this other one went, essentially delivering power from here to here, and then this goes off to the starter motor, I think. Yeah, so we'll get the fuse box in, then we'll get it cleaned up and go from there. Okay, so took this off again and gave it a good clean. It's bolted. I'm probably going to have to move it again to get the harness back through this hole here. Took all this apart as well and gave this a good clean over, so now that's looking fresh as a daisy. So obviously I need to plug all the bits and bobs back into the bottom of here when the loom comes through, I should say. I need to hook up these two fuse boxes. So yeah, bolt in here and a bolt in there. Now this is what came on the car when I bought it, and this goes off to one of the old sort of car audio big daddy fuses, if you like, and then it goes off to the starter motor. But I thought obviously I'll make this up fresh because it's nasty, and yeah, I cut back the what do you call it? Oh, I forget the name of the stuff. The heat shrink. I cut back the heat shrink, and this is what I found. You'll laugh at this. You ready? Oh, check that out. Now I've seen some soldering in my time, but that's impressive. Anyway, so I'm glad I've seen it. I'll renew it and make it decent, and yeah, sort that out. So that's probably the next job, and then we'll get onto the main harness that needs to come through, and obviously do all the same stuff for that. All right, last bit of wiring then for now, because I know it's pretty dull. But essentially this is the bulk of it. So this is the vehicle side harness that feeds all the stuff in the engine bay, comes out of the inner arch up there. It's in a pretty horrendous condition, just dirty really. So yeah, I'll get all this stripped back, but I'm not going to show you all of that because you've basically seen what I did on the other little bit in the engine bay. So what I'll do is I'll do a little transition and yeah, hopefully show you the finished article. Let's get on with it. Okay, that's what I removed. Load of trunking, load of tape, all my labels and everything like that. Yeah, quite a bit really. So yeah, all unnecessary, all dirty, and this is what it looks like now. So yeah, pretty tidy. All labelled obviously, but yeah, much tidier now. So yeah, I can imagine this is quite a controversial thing to do because obviously loom taping the whole thing could be potentially quite awkward. Especially if you've got an issue in the long run. However, I would say get a tool like this. This is a seam splitter. It's got a tiny little blade in there. So it makes things like you can essentially slide it along there, and it cuts through tape really quickly. So if you ever need to remove a run, then it makes life so much easier. You know, you're not continuously unwrapping the whole lot. You can just run a snip all the way up and then peel it off. Dead easy. Yeah, very good tool. Yeah, so that's all done now. So I need to feed it all through here and off into the car and get all the fuses and everything hooked up in there. So I'm going to get all that done, and then I'll just briefly show you some of the routing. There you go, wiring fans. That is the harness, routed roughly, I think, where it should be. Yeah, obviously it comes down the inner wing. This is all headlight stuff down there, underneath where the radiator sits, up round here somewhere, and then yeah, feeds the washer bottle and the horn, which is not fitted yet. Anyway, so that's that bit done. There's one little bit left to do, and that is for the power steering pump. So obviously I want to get this looking like the rest of it and tidy. I want the relay to be moved so it sits up in here rather than just flapping around on the inner wing, vibrating like this. That power feeder goes in there, and then obviously this bit goes to the actual past pump itself. So that's nice and easy to sort out and tidy. That's the easy bit. The problem I've got is, because I'm an idiot and I fitted a BE gearbox, the power steering pump now clashes with the gearbox casing, because this is a slightly physically bigger gearbox. This doesn't fit. So I asked around, thanks to those guys who came back to me. Some people say mount it to the battery tray, which I think is a good solution, nice and easy. Obviously there's already 3 points there to mount it on. The only problem I've got with that is that these things are ugly as sin. They're horrible to look at, and I don't want that sort of prime and place of the engine bay. It's just horrible. So what I want to do is I'm going to cut up all of these brackets, I think, and use the sort of bits that are useful to me. And essentially I want to keep it where it was down here. Essentially it clashes with the gearbox about here, because it sticks out about 4 miles into the engine bay. So what I want to do is essentially squeeze it in this gap down here. That's the plan. I did think about having it in here, but it will physically fit, but it will just mean that the clutch cable routing will have to be really weird. Maybe it's going to get in the way of the wiring harness. Yeah, it's just going to be awkward there. So I'm going to try and fit it just down here, yeah, as tight as I can. Obviously I can go that way a little bit under there as well, so if I can tuck it low enough, then maybe that'll work. So and then also that way I'm not tied by orientation either. I can have it anywhere I like. So that's the current thinking. So I'm going to take this apart now, and yeah, and then offer it up and do some measuring and a little bit of fabrication, which I thought was all finished, but there you go. So these are the things you have to deal with. So yeah, on to some fabrication. There we go then. So I've got all the new bracket and everything all plated. It now sits in a really nice location away from the gearbox. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Obviously the orientation of this needs to change, but that's easy enough. So I just need to tidy up the last little bit of wiring. I need to get an earth just popped onto there, and then this is the relay that needs to essentially get tucked up into the fuse box in there. So I'm going to have a little play with that. I'm not going to show you that because it's essentially just the same stuff you've already seen. Still need to make up the link up here for these two fuse boxes, but that's nice and easy. So I think for now that's basically the wiring finished. So yeah, on to the next thing, but that's going to be for the next video, I think. So if you've managed to stick it for this long and watch me do wiring for 20 minutes, then yeah, gold star for you. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. You know, like, subscribe, comment, give me some advice or whatever, then that'd be great to hear from you. Yeah, see you next time. Bye for now.